It is time for another episode of the Gibson Show, and today's guest is Yeti. No, not the one from APAC. We got the OG. We got ourselves Yeti from SSG. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. How you doing? How's your Friday?
That's all right. I'm fighting a common cold right now, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Yeah, there's a bad one going around. Like,
There is. It's everyone's getting it, and I got it. I got the ickness. Today's day 3, and I'm on the downslope. So
yeah,
hopefully tomorrow I'm completely pulled out of it. But
it's horrible.
yeah.
Is it like it's one of those things? It's like, how is this little bug just got me so irritable, got me so annoyed? It's one of those little things.
Yeah, I got a lot of fluids leaking out of my body. That's the worst part about it.
And you've got a cold. Like, it couldn't be worse.
Yep.
I suppose for you, I know you like to go to the gym and stuff too. Having a common cold is something that's a little bit annoying.
I haven't left my room in like 3 days. It's been bad.
Oof. Well, look, hopefully you feel better soon, because you've got just a small matter of a pretty big qualifier next weekend that you want to be at fully, firing all cylinders for.
I'll be ready for that. I'll be healed, healthy, and ready for that.
Yeah. So let's get started and let's get stuck into the action. So I suppose, first of all, before we talk about SI and the quals, let's talk a little bit about your career first. So I think you've been pretty lucky that you've played for a couple of orgs, but your last two have been two very good ones. You played with Soniqs for a long time, really good org. I know they treat their players pretty well. And then recently you switched allegiances. You've joined SSG now, a former world champion team. They've still got a lot of that roster still together. How have you found settling in to SSG, and how have you found being part of that team?
I've been really happy here, honestly. I will say it's been a bit of a transition period these last couple of months, though, because on SQ the team environment was like drastically different, just like the work environment and just the way things operated there compared to the way things operated here. It's a lot more serious and team oriented here, whereas the SQ roster, I think, is a lot more like individualistic and kind of lenient.
Yeah.
So it just takes time to adapt and kind of get used to being on different teams, because each team has their own little like team environment, their philosophy, like their own way of life, if you will. And I think that's the hardest part, is like getting used to that and like being accustomed to the people that you're teaming with, and like how they go about handling things, and then just kind of fitting your own self into that mix.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that I always find about Soniqs from the outside looking in is they look like they like to have a lot of fun. No matter what team it is, whether it's their PUBG team, whether it's their Siege team, they kind of have a lot of fun. And I know that you had quite a bit of fun playing for that roster too. So,
oh yeah,
with your time with Soniqs, you had the opportunity to play at a couple of majors. You played obviously at an SI as well. What was it like, playing and being involved in those tournaments? Because obviously you didn't quite have the success you would have wanted, but you still had the opportunity to be there, and a lot of players don't get to do that.
For that whole first year on SQ, making the Mexico major, the Sweden major, and then SI, for us, like, the majors were important to do good at, but they were more or less like measuring sticks on where we were in terms of competition internationally and like talent internationally, and we just kept falling short at the majors, and it sucked. But like the environment, even though we were getting smoked at these majors, was surprisingly okay for the most part. And we just kind of dialed in for SI and the NAL finals right after the Sweden. So we like double scrimmed the entire way up for the Sweden major, and then we double scrimmed all the way up till NAL finals. Won NAL finals, took like a 3-day break, double scrimmed all the way up to SI, and then that was like the peak Soniqs with me on it that everyone saw, was when we made like top 6 at Invite. But I just think it was just I don't know. It was just retaining and like gathering as much information about international play as you could throughout the year, and then just turning it all on everybody at Invite.
Yeah. And then obviously we spoke about it. You've made the switch to SSG. Talk us through how that all came about, like, getting in touch with them, whether it was does a player like you need to trial with SSG whenever that opportunity comes up, or, was it kind of as soon as you joined that group, you kind of knew this is where I want to be, these are the players I want to, go to major tournaments with?
So I got a drop from Soniqs, and then once I got a drop from Soniqs, Super, who was the team captain at the time, soon to be GM, basically, talked to Darren, who was the CEO, and said, like, we're not going to hold your contract. You're free to go to any team you want, and any team that wants you. We're not going to hold you to any like buyout or financial obligation for the teams, or whatever. I thought that was very nice. After the players told me on SQ that I was being dropped, because they all told me I was in the kitchen making my chicken, and they all came down and told me. So I was definitely caught off guard, but it's okay. Nothing crazy really happened. I didn't like lash out or try to kill anybody. I just told him that I was like, it is what it is. And in my head, I was like, whatever team I'm gonna join is, I'm confident I can join any team and make any team better. And I really believe that. And I really told myself that. And I had tryouts originally scheduled with Parabellum. I think it was just Parabellum at the time, because it all happened really quick. I was on the free agency market for less than 3 days.
Yeah.
And I had a scheduled trial for Parabellum, and then I reached out to like literally every team, DZ, SSG, all these teams. At first, Lycan didn't say anything. He just said, "Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know." I didn't hear back from him for 2 days, and on the third day, he's like, "Hey, want to hop on a call?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I want to hop on a call." And so then I had a tryout scheduled with them. Before I had my tryout with PB or SSG, because they were actually like SSG was like the day before. I had 2 tryouts with SSG.
Yeah.
But I actually asked Seth Super for a little piece of advice. I'm like, if I get the offer from SSG, should I even try out for PP or should I just take it? And me and him, I knew what I wanted to do, but I just kind of wanted a second opinion. I think Seth's like a really smart guy, and he wouldn't like lie to me or steer me the wrong way out of spite or anything. So I trust what he said. He said, "Yeah, I would join SSG." And so after the second tryout, the day after with SSG, which is literally like, I don't know if you know scrim blocks work.
Yeah.
But there'll be like 2 scrim blocks in a day. The first scrim block was my trial for SSG, and the second one was going to be the trial for Parabellum. I had my second tryout with SSG. I told Lycan, I was like, if you guys commit to me, I will literally tell PB to piss off, and I will join right now. And that's basically what happened. They had a 30-minute meeting. They said, "Yeah, we want you." And I said, "Okay, bet." And I DM'd VBM, the head coach of Parabellum, and I said, "Yeah, sorry, I'm joining SSG." And it was history.
So that kind of creates a couple of interesting storylines for you then when you were going into stage 3, because obviously I think any player leaving their old roster is going to want to get one over on them. You want to beat your old roster. I think for you it's probably a tiny bit different because, as you said, the split up was amicable. Soniqs were very good to you, Super was very good to you, but you still want to kind of prove them that they made a mistake. So going into stage 3 then, you wanted to beat Parabellum. You wanted to beat Soniqs. How do you feel about the way you performed in that first little split with SSG?
I mean, first split was the best the best split individual I've ever had. Like, I've never had like an MVP season or anything like that, and I had that, and honestly, it was great. And I give a lot of credit to my team on SSG and like all the guys, because I think one thing I was lacking on SQ with my time towards the end of SQ was a lot of like individual freedoms on like where I played, how I played, and what ops I played. And SSG gave me all of that. I had entire freedom of what I wanted to play, how I wanted to play the areas that they wanted me to play, and that just kind of like opened me up to a lot of like unseen potential and other like roles or operators, if you will. But you are right though. I wanted to beat SQ. I wanted to beat SQ so bad, but it just didn't happen. And it's crazy because that was the first game of the stage, and those kind of games to a younger player, like I would say a younger me, if I lost that game, I think it may have like affected me like for the rest of the stage, or maybe a little bit long term. You're like, damn, they are better without me, kind of thing. But like, you just can't think like that. And I've been in the league for so long now that it's just kind of water on your back if you lose.
Yeah.
And then Parabellum, it's just like, I wasn't worried about those guys. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
But I'm sure they would have wanted to beat you as well. That sort of a way.
Oh, 100%. They were easy to get in their head. I mean, I think after the second round we played them, they were broken. They were mentally destroyed. It was bad. It was real bad.
That's something I notice a lot about. There's a couple of players that do it. Some teams in EU, but I think NA's very good at playing the mental game in all chat inside of games, and I know that you're someone who likes to get involved with that too. Is it a case where you'll try it with every team, or do you know going into a game which teams you can wind up and which teams you can't?
My biggest thing is I don't force it.
Yeah.
If it's natural to me, like it just happens. Like if I because I yell, I don't type. I just yell, and I'm loud enough to where they'll hear me regardless.
Yeah.
So So I'm not gonna say I tried against every team because there's some teams I won't do it against. Like TSM, I didn't really have much to say.
Mm-hmm.
DZ, I had a little bit. I had a little bit to say, but I had a couple big rounds.
Mm-hmm.
If like we're down and like I feel like we're lacking some momentum and some energy, maybe I'll say something to get us going a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be, I guess you can say I forced it in that instance. But yeah, no, it just comes natural. It's just like there's one when we played Parabellum, we were playing Border against PB. I just said we're playing PP. And I killed SK outside the break room door. And like after I killed him, because I like one tapped him, I just like looked over and I said, "Eska!" And I started yelling at him. And like we're in the middle of the round. It's like a minute gone out of the round, and you just excuse me. You just see his hands go up and stuff. I'm just like, gotcha.
I think the thing is though, you can get away with winding up the other team if your action on the server backs it up as well. You know, and I think that's something. You've earned that right. You know, like you pointed out, you had a very good stage. Your in-game actions did most of your talking last year, at the end of last year. So I think, honestly, I'm really excited to see how you guys are going to play going into what is essentially the biggest games now of the year for you guys, the closed qualifiers. And you look at the teams taking part. You've got you guys who have pretty much got that set roster since the end of the last stage. You have TSM, the current reigning world champions, not to mention the fact a couple of your teammates as well. They've got that SI ring as well, if you want to put it that way. And then you have Mirage, who I think caught a lot of people by surprise in stage 3. And they've obviously made a roster change as well. And then Reality TV, who I think they're going to be difficult to read because they've made a couple of changes and they played in CL, so you've not got, apart from scrims, you've not played them on a real competitive stage just yet. What are your thoughts on the 3 other teams going into this, and like how tight do you think the closed quals are going to be for NA?
Reality TV, I mean, I respect how far they've come, but this is the end of the line for them. It's they're a young team with a lot of like individual talent, and they have a pretty good like grasp on teamwork and chemistry for them being a CL team. But us being us, like our biggest thing that we focus on is teamwork and just like being able to play together, like and do things together, problem solve together, work through problems in the round together, and that's a lot of things we put a lot of emphasis on. So for them, I can see them just trying to come in and just play a little wonky, do a lot of weird things, and kind of play riskless. They just try to throw wrenches in our gears. And, I'm totally ready for that. I'm ready for them, and the rest of my team's ready for them. So like I said, it's the end of the line for RTV. And then Mirage, I like Mirage. I like those guys on Mirage a lot. I think they get mistreated by some higher ups, but the players, I have a lot of respect for those guys. I like them a lot. It's not easy to just get the car kicked out of you for a year and a half, and then you finally do something, and then everyone just kind of they're still like discrediting them. And I've been in that spot quite literally, where like you start winning and people are like, oh, it's just a stage, it's just this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? But I'm happy for them. But I think they're a good team. I don't really have much to say to Mirage. I mean, they're just a pro team. And TSM, obviously, former world champions, just like my teammates. Obviously a good team. I mean, we see them in finals. It's going to be a burner. But that's all I really got to say about those guys. It's just we're dialed. We're focused on us. And stay tuned, I guess.
And are the guys feeling good? Because obviously you've got a team with a lot of big personalities. And I think that's a good thing, because I think sometimes having a lot of big personalities can be a problem, but I think when you look at the way those personalities work at SSG, it's actually a positive for the team. People that have been in the scene, they've won loads of titles, and I think, as you pointed out, they allow players to have their freedoms. They allow people to play their operator as long as it fits into that, that larger goal of what the plan for the round is. So everyone feeling good, everybody ready to get going?
Oh yeah, everyone's super confident, and like you said, there definitely are some big personalities on this team, but they're pretty like egoless personalities. Like everyone meshes pretty well. Like everyone's very professional, and at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is winning. And like I've never been on a team that has that goal and vision to the way that this team does. So I got big hopes for this team with myself on it. I got big hopes for this qualifier. I think we're all really confident. I think we're all really ready. We're just kind of polishing off the window before we get going.
So you just finished playing for Soniqs. You pack your bags. You move over to a different house to join the guys at SSG. any hazing or any were there any forfeits or anything that you were made do when you joined the team, or was it just kind of, yeah, you're in the door, let's get to work?
No, no hazing. No hazing or anything. I mean, I guess there was kind of hazing in ping pong because they have a ping pong table here.
Yeah.
And I was bad. I never really played ping pong before, and these guys have been playing for on and off for like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So I was getting my ass kicked in ping pong for a while, let me tell you. But out of the ashes, the phoenix rises, and now I just beat Fulton Rampy last night in ping pong, and let me tell you, it felt good.
Oh. You know,
So
when I was in college, we had a full size like Olympic ping pong table in our student house, and man, it's just
it gets intense. It gets intense.
I don't think people realize how intense it gets, and you get so annoyed when somebody beats you. Like, I'm better than this person. Like, how has this happened? But
Yep.
it's
ping pong's so fun.
Yeah. Let's actually talk about living with your teammates, because I think that's something that NA's genuinely blessed with, you know, over the last couple of seasons. Every other region, players, you know, living in their own houses. Some teams have team houses that they spend some time boot camping in, but you guys get to live with each other, you know, go to the gym with each other, hang out with each other, and then practice together as a team. How much of an advantage do you think that is, particularly for new players joining a roster? Like when you joined SSG, how important was it for you that you're in that environment straight away?
I think the camaraderie aspect's really important. I think you really get to see these people for who they are instead of like the persona behind a keyboard. I think like, because it's been a while since I've not lived in a team house. It's been 3 years now. And looking back at it, the way teams operate is just a little bit different. The environment's different. It's not as like work driven, because like when you're working in a team house, there's 5 people in a room sitting next to each other. You know, you scrim, you getting fist bumps between rounds. It's just the sense of camaraderie. And after scrim, you're having a debrief where you're looking at all these people. So, you know, if someone's critiquing you or you're critiquing them, like you're making eye contact, and like it's more personal, and you can kind of see where people are coming from, I guess. Yeah. It's just a better work environment overall. I think there's a lot of benefits to a team house. I think there's a couple downsides to a team house, but like that's what happens when you live with a bunch of guys.
So on the team house aspect, then, as you said, you've lived with in a team house for 3 years now. Who's the messiest teammate you've ever had to live with? Like, who's the one guy who never does his washing, or at least, you know, just kind of lies in? You've got somebody in your eye. I can tell the way you look. You've already got somebody in your head.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to out the person. I'm not going to out the person. But it's, I think every team has like, I won't say every team. I think most teams have like one of those people that just are a little bit like, it's not the cleanest either, but like, you know, when it comes to common areas, I try to like clean up where I am, like kitchen, living room, that kind of place. Like those places are for everybody, so you gotta, you know, keep them clean.
And here's another one. So you're all living in a team house. Do you have any? You don't have to say names again, but have you had teammates who tend to sleep in when it comes to team meetings? Have you ever had that happen? Have you done it?
No. I was raised by my dad to be on time is to be 10 minutes early. So I hate being late. I can't stand it. I'm embarrassed when I'm late. I feel guilty. I don't like that feeling. Yeah, I have. I'm not gonna out the person again because you know they're my friends and I don't want to fucking.
No, that's completely fair. So now I'm going to start asking you some questions about players that you've played against them with. And once again, I'm not looking for you to say anything overly mean about guys, but the topic is kind of people that you have in your back pocket, or people whose back pocket you're in. So first off, like, who's that player in NA that you just, it feels like you beat them in 1v1s more than anybody else? And, you know, because I know for you, there's a couple that you like getting in gunfights with, but who's the guy that you think you have in your back pocket the most?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's easier to answer that question as if it's a whole team. Like, OXG is one of the teams I haven't lost to in like, I think I've lost to them once or twice in the last 2 years. So I'd probably say like one of the people on that team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Fox. I'm just gonna say Fox. I don't even know if I beat Fox in gunfights that often, but I beat his team all the time, so that counts.
He'll enjoy that one. And then, who's the player that you hate playing against? Whether it's because they beat you more often, or just the way that they play and the way that they move is just so frustrating. Like, is it someone who rats a lot? Like, is there anyone you mind you just don't like getting into those fights with?
Again, not an individual, but a team. I don't like playing against Dark Zero that much. They play the game in a very like weird way. They take the fun out of games sometimes. because they just play like such.
Yeah.
They play like some dogs with a tail between their legs. That's what they play like.
Yeah. So right, looking forward then, or I had a talk with Foxy about this, and I spoke a little bit about Skies about it. There was a Siege World Cup that was cancelled, and I think a lot of fans really would have wanted to see it. You know, it's something that I think fans wanted to see around the world. If it was to come back together, and you had to pick a team, and the way it is, you're only allowed to pick one teammate from your current team. Who would you pick as the 4 other guys to go with you and do a World Cup?
I would do Bosco, Rexon, Newers, and that's tough. I'm stuck between like I'll probably do Pamba.
Yeah? You like a bit of a Pamba party, yeah?
Oh yeah, I was trying to think of roles. I was like doing the math in my head, like in terms of like, all right, what's this person play? How do they play?
Yeah. So funny enough, Benji actually had Rexon and Newers on his team as well. So it's cool that you get some rollover there. So next I want to talk. Go ahead.
They're nasty. I said they're just nasty.
Yeah. So next I want to talk about you. And you've been, as you said, you've been in the scene now for a long time when it comes to esports, and hopefully you're going to be here for more than double that again, because I think players are showing that you can extend your career at esports. What have you learned over your years playing, and how would you say you've evolved as a player, and how do you wish to continue to improve going into 2023?
Early in my career, I had a reputation as someone who like ruined teams. I never thought that was true. That was basically just a rumor that people kind of like skewed off of like my teams failing, because I used to lead teams. But my counter to that now is how many of those players are still playing Siege today? And the answer is one. One person. Hey, you want to know who that is?
Go for it.
Rampy. That's the only person from my previous pro league teams that are still playing Siege today at a high level. But I don't know. I've learned to like adapt and like be a part of team environments and be like a part of team environments. Not having to control everything. I don't know. I've come a long way in a lot of departments. Just as like obviously no one knows yourself better than yourself, you know. And like when you're an 18-year-old, you know, being in working environments with other 18-year-olds or people that are older than you, and all of them being men, you know, it could definitely lead up to some heavy disagreements or like just like stonewall conversations. And I don't know. I think being able to communicate and like talk to these people on a professional level and like actually get things done is like one of the hardest things to do. And I think that's something I take a lot of pride in doing, is like being able to talk to these people and like actually have like good working relationships with them. And then obviously as like individually, like in the game, I've gotten a lot smarter. So that's always good.
Yeah, well, hopefully, as I said, you can keep continuing to play and going at a high level. Like, as you said, you just had the best individual stage, and that's really good news going into SI quals, because I think a lot of people are going to be supporting SSG, a lot of people will be supporting TSM. There's going to be RTV fans, and there'll be Mirage fans there too. So I think everybody, though, wants to see the teams playing their best. Nobody wants to see any team going in and playing poorly, because then you get people making excuses saying, oh, well, we won that game. I want to see everybody go in and do their best, and I think you guys are definitely in with a huge shot at 100, you know, when you're at 100% of qualifying for SI. And I think something else is that if you manage to qualify through the last chance qualifiers, I think it gives you that little burst as well going into SI. You're going to have a little bit more confidence.
100%. I mean, I think that match day reps are a extremely valuable thing. I want to like look at OXP and their SCS win. They're not playing the highest of competition, but they're playing competition and people that challenge them on a game day setting. Those guys were playing to win. They were not playing to lose, and that's all that matters. That mindset alone with game day like reps formulates the evolution of meta. You know, skewing off just a tiny bit. People talk about like LATAM's success and like why they're so good as a region. Look at them. They play almost 3 times the amount of games any other region plays. they have so many more matches. Their meta is constantly evolving through match day reps, through counterplay and VOD review. People learn to counter these strats and these play styles. That happens over and over and over and over again, and then you get to the meta you see today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we definitely say if we were to win, we win the qualifier. Hell yeah, we have momentum.
Mm-hmm.
We just beat 4 really good teams in an A, or 2 technically.
Yeah.
And match day reps, and we're shipped out like the week after. So you win the qualifier, you may take a day or 2 off, if that. And if you're not taking a break, you're scrimming up until you leave, and then you're boot camping for like a couple days before the competition, because SI gives you more time to prep while you're there, which is, I love it. SI is the best tournament in the world for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of them. You have a lot more time when you get there to actually scrim the teams that are there and kind of get into the flow of things, comfortable in the setups. Yeah. Majors, you don't get that.
And it's so good as well that we're having an SI with a crowd again. It's
I know.
It's going to be something else. I think, obviously, when you're locked in the game with your ambient noise going through your over ears and your ears, you don't really hear the crowd, but...
Oh, you hear them.
Oh, you do?
Oh, you hear them loud. You hear them. You hear them real good. Oh, yeah. Because it comes to mics. It comes... Yeah, you feel it in the stage. When people are using the clappers, you feel it.
Oh, man, It's an atmosphere that I think I can tell by talking to you. You want it. You want to feel that again. And as I said,
it's been forever.
I've not had the opportunity to be to an SI due to COVID, so I'm pumped about traveling over to this one as well. So it'll be a hell of an event. So I want to ask you another kind of couple of questions, though, as we're coming towards the end. And this one is more lifestyle type thing. So you were a young man and you had to move to a team house. You had to move to Vegas. What was it like moving to a city like that, where there's a lot of distractions, I guess, around, and, you're getting your first paychecks at esports and you've got some disposable income? Is it hard to live in Vegas as a young person like that whenever you're moving from somewhere else in NA?
I just think it depends on what your priorities are, and I think it really comes down to what you really want in life, I'll be honest. If you want to move out to Vegas and play video games and, find prostitutes or go do drugs on the strip or go to strip clubs or something, that's your priority, do whatever. And obviously it's going to negatively affect your career.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it definitely can. I don't think any pro has done that, in terms of just went off the deep end out here, but it's very possible. Where we live is not close to the strip, I will say. It's about 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And outside the strip, Vegas is a very different city. Just kind of suburbs and just, houses, banks, grocery stores, restaurants. It's something too crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun stuff you can do that isn't disruptive to the work process of being a pro. But when I first moved out here, it was lonely. To be completely honest with you, I was really lonely. I missed my friends. I missed my family. I was single when I moved out here. I met my girlfriend. I got a dog. And, both those things kind of made Vegas a second home to me. And, I'll be staying out here indefinitely. Me and Rexon from SQ are getting an apartment. We actually just signed the lease. So, we'll be moving in at the end of this month.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the city. It's definitely, it takes time to adapt though. And if this isn't home to you and you don't make it some variable home, it'll never be home. And you'll definitely miss home. I still miss Kentucky.
Yeah.
But I'm okay being here.
Yeah. I love the fact that you brought up a dog, because I'm a massive dog person. What breed did you get, if you don't mind?
I got a German Shepherd Pit Bull mix.
There he is. Oh, he's class. Yeah. He's cool. We love him. We love dogs here. Yeah. So I suppose as we're coming to the end, then, is there anything you want to say to SSG fans ahead of SI, ahead of these qualifiers? Anything you want to get out there?
Just watch.
I like it. Right. One more question, actually. I've got one more that came into my mind, and I'm terrible for this, but I want to know what you do then, whenever you're not gaming, whenever you're not scrimming, practicing VOD reviewing. How do you decompress? And I know that you like the gym. That's one of the things that I think a lot of people know. You did the little show with Veli. I think, was it 2 years ago? But yeah, what are your hobbies outside of Siege?
I play a lot of TFT. Cannabis is legal here, so I smoke weed. I hang out with my dog. I hang out with my girlfriend. I try to play story games, but they don't like satisfy me because like I feel like I need some sense of competition. Like being a pro has kind of ruined my perception of esports or other games sometimes. Like I can't like play a story game for very long. I get bored.
Yeah.
It's almost like reading a book to me. I'll play like a chapter of a game and I'll get off. I can't grind like a story game 8 hours like I used to.
So you're addicted to winning, is what you're saying? You're addicted to that competition.
I'm addicted to the winning. I'm addicted to the losing. All of it. I'm addicted
Yeah.
to the pain. I'm addicted to like the the happiness because there's no feeling quite like right after you lose or quite like after you win. It's just like it's like a crash.
Yeah.
If you win, you're riding that high up until match point or like throughout the round, and then boom, you win. You're like yes, and just like a big sighs, like breaths of relief, and just like the stress is just crashing, and then you lose. And then, you're kind of like fighting the wave a little bit because there's just a lot of negative emotion. You're just like, shit, man, this sucks. And you're just kind of in your own head about it. Or like, you're just like kind of walking yourself through like the process. Okay, what happens next? What do we do? What am I learning? But there's a good saying is there's two roads in life. And one of them is you're winning and learning. Or the other one is you're losing and you're losing all the way. So if you're on the right road, there is no losing. It's cheesy, but a loss is a lesson. And if you look at it like that, like, it'll only help you win in the future.
No, couldn't agree with you more. But look, Yeti, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I really want to thank you for taking the time to do this, guys. If you haven't already, make sure and give Yeti a follow on all of his socials. Show him some love and show him some support ahead of next weekend's SI Close Quals, which will be on the Rainbow Six main channel. But as I said, Yeti, it's been an absolute pleasure to you. Thank you so much for taking your time, and best of luck next week.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you so much.